College Redditors, what's the one high school habit each incoming freshman needs to stop doing on their first day of college? I'll start. Your life isn't over if you walk into class late. Just calmly go in and take a seat. You'll be fine. Yes. IT will be on the test. After a test, you don't have to stick around. Pack your stuff up and leave quietly. If you're struggling, don't wait to get help. Seriously. If your school is halfway decent, there is at least one other resource outside of your professor that you can consult for tutoring. You will regret letting your pride and/or laziness get in the way of passing a class. Finally, if professors offer to read rough drafts of papers, take them a rough draft. Not only will you get suggestions tailored to your professor's grading tendencies, but your professor is also aware that they told you your paper is fine except for. So, if they said that one paragraph looked fine and then realizes later it should have expanded on some detail, they will probably be more lenient. You sought help. They missed it. Oh well. Besides, you'll become a much better writer hearing suggestions from multiple sources. My essay writing has improved significantly because of my professor's input. Making up excuses to a professor if you miss the due date for an assignment. It isn't that they aren't listening, it's that they simply will not care. Stop being so embarrassed when your family phones you comes over. They probably live very far away and came here to see you show them some love. Grilling everyone like you are the toughest kid around. My pet peeve freshman year was when kids would regularly swear when addressing professors because we're all adults now. Professor here. Don't plagiarize. We'll catch you. If we do, fess up. The first several times, the students said I don't know how that happened. Remember that uncommon knowledge should be cited. If the professor asks you to come in for help, do it. We can't help you if you don't. I can't tell you how many smart kids have dropped out. If you get so behind that you feel overwhelmed, talk to someone, anyone, and everyone until you get back on track. You may need professional help. Get involved. The more connected you are, the better you'll do. 5. Live on campus if you can. Why? C4. You'll get some great profs and some crappy ones. No matter what school you go to. If all of them are great, let me know and I'll put my application in. I'm not being egotistical. I just don't like having uncomfortable conversations with students about their bad profs. Also, who one student feels is awful may end up being your favorite. 7. Take advantage of electives. Try something you may never get to try again. Go look at the college freshman meme page. Don't do any of that. Just because you miss one class, doesn't mean you have to miss all your classes that day. Do every bit of extra credit offered. If you can redo a bad test for extra points, do it. If you can earn extra points for volunteering at some weird event, do it. If you get extra credit for attending every class session, go to every class session. Use every advantage they give you because every single extra point counts. I'm old and back in school, but as an example, in one of my classes, I did so much extra credit that I only needed a 20% on the final to get an A in the class. That knowledge is incredibly valuable when you have 3 other finals the same week. Send thank you notes mails to the professors you love, the ones that have made a difference or have gone out of their way to help you. Send it after the class is over and you've received your final grade to avoid impropriety, but do it and be heartfelt about it. They not only appreciate it but, at some point, you may need a reference letter if you're transferring or going on to grad school. I have 2 former professors that still stop me on campus to ask how I'm doing and offer help if I need it. Never forget reference pages. Cite everything you've looked at, even if you're not quoting or using statistics from it, and if needed, buy an APA extension for Word if you suck at formatting. Do not forget references ever. Stop checking Facebook every 3 seconds. It's amazing how much time it will free up for you. They need to shut the fuck up talking to each other during class. I paid to come to the class, and I want to learn, not hear about your sexcapades or drama. Spare us all and skip class. Maybe not a habit, but a lesson. And I'm sorry if this is a bit negative or heartbreaking. There will be classes that, no matter how hard you try, you will be terrible with. I enrolled as an aerospace major because I wanted to change the world, despite being more of a history English person. I, by some miracle, passed my 2nd calculus class with a D. I had absolutely no hope with my 3rd calculus class. I had a tutor. I went to study sessions. I went to office hours. I was housed with engineers. But at that point, nothing could teach me how to get from point A to point B. It was basically magic, with some loose logic here and there. I failed that class, despite all my effort. I'm not saying that you will also fail, but that there will be classes that will be nearly impossible to ace. It's very difficult to get all-round A's. But maybe that's just my engineering school. Here the engineering average GPA is just over 2.0, I believe. And, no exaggeration, the average math test score is 50% or below, so curving is completely necessary. Giving a fuck what your peers think about you. And having opinions about your peers based on trivial things like whether or not they wear their varsity jacket. But stop asking random people for a piece of gum when they take it out of their bag. Get your own gum. From here on out, save yourself some trouble and stop acting like a middle school jackass. You're going to class, not the club. Alternatively, to those same students about 2 months later, you're going to class, not to bed. As someone who grades a lot of papers essays, please let me urge you I repeat do not fall into the crowd that sets up teams for classes. I see this all the time, where people say okay I will go Monday, you go Wednesday etc. and share notes. You are paying to go to class, so go to class. There are a lot of people who do this and get away with it, but you will very likely end up hurting yourself in the long run. You might hurt yourself in the way of not doing as well on a test because your friend didn't take the best notes. In the way of not preparing in a prerequisite class for a later class down the road. Or you may be violating the school's academic integrity code. I just want to take a quick second to address that last one because it's very important, and I think a lot of the people who screw up simply didn't take it seriously. Most universities have a zero-tolerance policy for cheating. You may think you are getting away with it, but I want to warn you professors do not need to tell you when you are caught. You can go the whole semester thinking you are safe, then suddenly get a nasty letter informing you that you need to go see the Academic Affairs Council. At that point, you are almost certainly hosed, and penalties are usually as severe as possible to use as an example. Please do not underestimate this, it's a lot more serious than high school. Furthermore, if you are farther along in your studies, you can permanently blacklist yourself in the world of academia, potentially losing job opportunities or the ability to go to grad school, which is becoming increasingly necessary. Not giving a shit. I didn't give a shit throughout high school and graduated with a 1. Something or other. I had no intention of going to college. Spent 10 years in the workforce. Made nothing of myself. Job hopped every year. The last job I had was the longest. I worked there for 2 years. I was up for a promotion that was then given to a guy 6 months my junior because he had a degree. At that point, I quit my job and enrolled in community college. The university wouldn't take me. I have recently transferred to said university and am currently maintaining a 3.92 GPA. All because I decided to finally give a shit. If you are sick, do not bring a note from your parents. 1. Be ready to change your major if you need to. What you actually do in a given field of study is often radically different than what you'd imagine. Had a friend go into physics, spent the last 2 years of his degree programming simulations. Switch early enough and you won't have too many headaches. 2. You can sneak into other classes. No one is going to stop or even notice you. Do this a lot and you'll eventually be able to talk about just about anything. 3. Use the library. Steal from databases. Outside of college, knowledge is expensive and libraries are sorely underfunded. 4. Most clubs are kind of bullshit. Attend anyway. Catch a couple club members outside of the meetings, get a couple drinks in them, and you'll probably get something closer to what you were looking for. 5. Even if you're living off your folks, if you can swing a part-time job, get one. Having a bit of scratch makes having a social life a lot easier, and it's going to stay that way after you graduate, regardless of how cozy you are. Having a social life makes having an intellectual professional life a lot easier, too. The right friends can do wonders for your academic performance. Last year a guy walked into our class, and had to take a spot in the front because it was all there was left, because he was late. He boots his laptop and starts browsing FB, little later on he clearly looks bored and starts to watch porn. Was a really strange class. TLDR highlights 1. Make as many friends as possible. Introduce yourself to your professors. You go from 8,675,309 to name no one in a clique anymore. If they are, fuck him. If you aren't going to pay attention in class, don't disrupt your classmates with internet conversations texting. Professors can easily pick out people not paying attention, and will most likely assume that you do not care about your grade. Don't fall victim to no more parents, no more rules, especially on food. Going home ain't shit, but keeping in contact with your parents is. Find stuff to involve yourself in, but don't involve in all the things. You will meet a shitload of people, even if you don't like them. Don't burn the bridge. There will always be someone smarter than you. Don't play know-it-all. Try not to F up your grades your first year, or you spend the next 3 trying to make up for it. Also, get involved, but don't overdo it. Not everyone can be involved in, and the president of every organization on campus. But try something. Don't just go to class and then derp around in your room. Buy into the whole college experience, please. Don't shout out snide comments during class trying to get people to laugh. We don't care if that's what she said, we just want to learn. Don't wear those stupid lanyards with the school name around your neck. No more raw dogging it or a condom. Putting your phone on vibrate is not the same as putting your phone on silent. Everyone can hear your phone buzz. Everyone can also see you texting during lecture. Hiding your phone under your desk fools no one. Don't be the kid who talks about being gifted skipping a grad year average in high school. If you go to a good school, everyone else is just as smart. If you go to an okay school, no one gives 2 shits about that. You definitely need to study. If you had it easy in high school, it likely will not be that way in college. I used to work university admissions, so I have had a good deal of interaction with high schoolers and undergrads. You are paying us to go to school. Never forget this. It is a business transaction, and we aren't doing you any favors. If you think we owe you something, demand it. So many students come into offices with their heads hung low like they're getting in trouble with their parents. Relax. You're an adult. If you act like one, you'll get treated like one. If you don't understand something in your classes, ask. For God's sake, ask. People might give you shit for being that guy, but forget them, you are paying for this. Learn something, don't just show up. You can come to class late. The professor is not going to judge you in a class of 400. As someone who has taught large classes, too, I'd rather you show up late than not at all. If you are never in class, I will notice, and that will impact you more than if you make an effort, even if that means coming in 20 minutes late. It will be on the test. If you're asking about the nature of a test the week of the test, you will be pissing off your professor, trust me. Attend office hours. As a PhD student, I am chained to a desk for hours every week. I am not allowed to go anywhere. I am waiting for you. Please show up so I don't Reddit myself into an early grave. Don't make excuses for missing a class. If you want to get away with it, be vague. We know your tricks. You only have so many grandmothers to use. Save them for when it counts. If you want a pro tip for late essays that are submitted electronically, just rename a junk bat file or something to a docx and send that. It'll corrupt when it tries to open, and you can buy yourself a few days. We get it, you go to our school? The first Thanksgiving back for freshmen should be officially called the hoodie party, since everyone you know will be repping their university's hoodies and lame lanyards. Get a wallet. Buy a water bottle. Represent a better school. It starts better conversations than a shirt that says I am currently where my shirt is from. If you want to make friends, don't go home every weekend. Don't use any icebreakers. Just relax, everyone is freaking out just like you are. Force yourself to talk to people, though. Go to a club recruitment. Join something. Even if you don't stick with it, it'll make you some friends right away. Put your phone on silent. Not vibrate. Stop masturbating in class, even if you are a star athlete. A couple things from both a student and professor's perspective. First, if you are given a handout that does not look like it was photocopied out of a book, keep the damn thing. I spent a lot of time tailoring some handouts to subtly tell a class how to fix a problem I see many of them making without actively calling them out on it. Nothing is more frustrating than when I refer back to it later in the semester and get nothing but blank stares because you didn't even read the damn thing when we went through it together as a class. Second, yes, I know you are very smart and that high school was easy for you, and that you don't really need to study to pass tests or read books to write a decent paper. I was the same way. However, try to keep in mind that you are not in these classes to survive them. I'm looking at you lit history majors. You are in them to learn something. You will learn more if you actually do the reading and take the time to do good work. Third, visit your goddamn professors. We are forced to keep office hours for your convenience. Believe me, I would rather be catching up on TV shows and surfing Reddit at home or, God forbid, doing actual research. But I am stuck in my little office with a leaky window and no heat in hopes that someone will come visit me. There is a direct correlation between students that come see me for help and students that do well in my class. I don't even care if you come in to talk about class. I'm a fairly well-read guy, and I'm fairly up to date on popular culture, so come talk to me about movies or music or your physics class. That shit fascinates me, but I've spent the better part of a decade studying very different things. We could both learn something, and let me tell you, it is way harder to grade a paper harshly when I have an emotional attachment to the writer. Fourth, harkening back to number 1, keep your damn syllabus. I can't count the number of times the due dates or course expectations that are included in them have saved my ass when it gets down to crunch time in the semester. Finally, know when it is time to study and when it is time to party. In my undergrad I had a friend who was up for anything at any time. He couldn't say no. If I had a free Tuesday night and wanted to get bombed and break out the bong, he was up for it no matter if he had a test the next day or not. However, if he came to my room on a night I was doing work and asked if I wanted to smoke until I saw everything in primary colors, I had the self-discipline to tell him to fuck right off. It didn't hurt our friendship any, and one of us actually made it through that year with good grades. I'll let you figure out which one. Do not wear your Letterman jacket. Do not bring up your standing awards, honors, achievements unless you are asked. I hate it when I was in history and heard in HS I was in AP classes and I thought, if you know the answer, don't showboat your past. Edit spelling. Don't see your professors as teachers. And in no way do I mean they're not those who teach. But I mean the fact that, at least for me and many I know throughout your school career so far, the teachers have been viewed as these much older, almost untouchable people who have this huge status over you. Once I got into college, however, every professor I've had has been very approachable about everything. It feels like talking to an actual human being versus someone who could ruin your life by a single word or sentence. Do not ever tell someone you're a sophomore by hours. People don't want to know what the university classifies you as, they want to know how long you've been at college. You're not the big man on campus your first year, although with all the new freedom and change of lifestyle you'll feel like the coolest guy to walk the planet. Remember, you're still a small fish in a big sea, and just because you have this new freedom you can't get a big head. Stop farting into Ziploc bags and hiding them in people's backpacks. Not cool. If you enroll in a Spanish class, form a study group. Putting on makeup in the middle of class. No one cares anymore. Some people just drag themselves out of bed wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. Do not be afraid to get a tutor. Lose your pride when it comes to learning. If you do not know something, teach it to yourself or get some help. Some high schools leave you woefully unprepared to handle certain classes. There are usually many alternative learning supplements that can help you on your way. Go to every class even if there is no attendance taken. You would be amazed how much knowledge you will pick up just by being there. If you have a hard time paying attention, or are finding a class too hard, sit in the front. This will force your attention span to the material at hand and help me get some more difficult classes. Make a friend in your major that can share your schedule. Having a real friend outside of class can help a bunch if you have to miss something or need help. Always easier to ask someone you know. Go to the gym 3 times a week. It is free and strong body can help your mind and your stress levels. My father the contractor used to tell me, you wouldn't build a mansion on a poor foundation, would you? The second you get sick, go to the doctor. Eat well. Do not get in the habit of eating shitty foods. If you have a choice between a burger and fries and a turkey sandwich and a salad, go with the later. You will feel better, have better energy and be clearer in mind. Learn to be smart with your budget. Making a sandwich and bringing it with you for lunch is a great way to save money, which you can later spend on fun things. Learning to deal with a smaller fixed income will help you be clever and crafty in your spending habits. It is almost always cheaper to buy groceries than it is to eat out for every meal. It is much healthier for you also. Do your sock and underwear laundry as priority. If you have communal showers, get some good flip-flops and a shower caddy that has good drainage. Try to always be happy. Happiness is the key to success in life. Always be respectful, even when you disagree with something. Especially to a professor. A professor is not always the pinnacle of knowledge. If you want to contend something with the professor, you can always do so in their office. Taking up precious class time with your tidbit of knowledge you learned on Reddit can be a waste of time for everyone else in your class. However, do not be afraid to question everything.